In the perpetual twilight of the desolate coast, where jagged rocks met the restless sea, the old lighthouse stood as a lonely sentinel. It had guarded these shores for centuries, a silent witness to the endless dance of waves and time. Inside, its keeper, Elian, was a man as weathered as the stone he inhabited. He sat in quiet solitude, his world defined by the rhythmic crash of water and the strange, persistent ticking of a wall clock whose hands moved not forward, but backward. Each tick was a grain of sand falling upward, a moment reclaimed from the void, a sound that underscored the profound isolation of his existence. The light he tended was not for ships, but for time itself, and he was its solitary prisoner. A ribbon of asphalt snaked along the cliffside, and upon it a lone car disturbed the quietude, its headlights cutting through the gloom. Lena stepped out, her gaze fixed on the imposing tower. Her face was a mask of determination, the face of someone who had traveled a great distance, driven by more than mere curiosity. She approached the heavy oak door and knocked. Elian answered, his eyes holding the weariness of ages. He was hesitant, a guardian wary of intruders, but something in Lena's persistence broke through his reserve. He stepped aside, granting her entry into his strange domain. The air inside was thick with an unseen energy. Lena watched, her breath catching in her throat, as a shattered teacup on the floor trembled, its porcelain fragments skittering across the wood, magically reassembling into a whole, pristine object. In a vase nearby, the brittle brown petals of a dead flower softened, regaining their vibrant hue, unfurling back into a perfect living bloom. Drawn by an unspoken understanding, they began their ascent up the winding spiral staircase. The steps, worn smooth by Elian's countless journeys, echoed with each footfall. The air grew warmer, humming with a palpable energy that made the hairs on Lena's arms stand on end. They reached the lantern room at the apex of the tower, but where a bright, steady bulb should have been, there was something else entirely. A swirling vortex of shimmering ethereal light pulsed at the heart of the chamber, a miniature galaxy of impossible colors. It was a wound in the fabric of reality, a place where time flowed backward. Within its mesmerizing depths, visions played out in reverse. They saw a great ship, its hull mangled and broken, rise from its watery grave on the ocean floor, its form mending until it floated pristine upon the surface. A ferocious storm, which had once torn the skies asunder, retreated, its dark clouds shrinking and lightning retracting into the heavens, leaving behind a tranquil, starlit sky. Lena was utterly captivated, mesmerized by the temporal ballet. The light promised the impossible, a chance to undo, to rewind, to erase. Acting on a primal impulse, she reached a trembling hand toward the swirling energy. The moment her fingers breached its edge, a torrent of images flooded her mind. She saw her own life flash before her, but backward. Her arrival at the lighthouse, the drive, a recent argument, a past love, her graduation, her childhood, all rushing away from her in a bewildering, dizzying cascade. Just as she felt her own identity begin to unravel, Elian's strong hand gripped her arm, pulling her back from the precipice. Shaken and gasping for breath, she looked at him, not with pity, but with a profound, soul-deep understanding. She now saw the true nature of his curse, to live forever watching the world heal its wounds, while his own only deepened. No words were exchanged. Lena turned and descended the stairs, leaving the lighthouse as silently as she had come. The final shot is a close-up of Elian's face, his expression unchanging as a single tear defies gravity, rolling up his weathered cheek and disappearing back into his eye.